Welcome to an episode of Test Chamber. Today we are checking out Steep, the new extreme sports game from Ubisoft. I'm Brian Shea. I'm here with Matt Kato, who is on the sticks.
How's it going, everybody?
All right, so Kato, you've been playing this game for a few hours now. I've watched you at your desk just kind of fiddling around with all kinds of different extreme sports. I've seen wingsuits, I've seen skiing, I've seen snowboarding. Right now, you see, we just jumped off a mountain and we are just plummeting.
We're in the Matterhorn, the famous Matterhorn mountain, one of just, many regions, actually. I think there's maybe like 6 or 7 or even more than that. And see, I'm obviously... Whoa, there it is. So, no problem, no worries. He's okay, folks. We can certainly start that one again, but if we pull out to the map here, you'll get a good view of... This was one of the challenges that we did on the Matterhorn. It's a wingsuit. But if you go around, obviously there's so much stuff to do. And as you see in the upper left-hand corner there, all the different, as we switch to the different regions, there's different drop zones, there's different challenges. There's any number of things we can do in here. Again, as Brian was saying, going through the different, whether it be skiing, whether it be wingsuits. And as you can see right there, here's a challenge point, and you can also get to some of these places with a helicopter ticket. Let's go here and just see what happens.
All right, so now we're on a snowboard.
So this is a drop zone, so there's not a challenge per se that's being generated by going to this location, but I obviously can just go and do whatever I want, get some freestyle points for it, and the more sort of freestyle or activities or whatever it is you do, you're basically always getting points to raise your level. You get a higher level and you unlock different mountains and different regions within those mountains, as well as of course different activities.
Okay, so the extreme sports genre used to just be a thriving metropolis of titles.
Snow metropolis.
A snow metropolis. And now, it's a much rarer thing that we get a snowboarding game. Earlier this year we had Infinite Air, which you were pretty cold on.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Maybe you did. I don't know. I can't speak for you.
I know you had some problems with the way that game played, as well as some of the structure of that game. But how does the gameplay of this, how does it feel to be going down a hill on this one?
It's pretty good. It's got a good sense of speed. No matter whether you're doing, for instance, on the snowbound stuff, whether you're using skis or using a snowboard, I think it controls pretty well. It's, not super complex to do these tricks. The good part of that, though, is that they're easy to do. You know what I'm saying? You're not, being frustrated by what's going on. At the same time, it's not the kind of thing where I think you're going to, be doing some trick that nobody does, and it's going to be like a Tony Hawk style sort of, crazy combo fest. But you will, get plenty of opportunity to do these tricks, and you'll be able to pull them off and you'll feel relatively satisfied. As you can see there, restarting this particular task is pretty easy if you fail it. This one it looks to be like a point-based one. There's races, there's plenty of other things. So I'm coming in and out of these challenges really quickly. It's no big deal. It's very just sort of, you fail, you just shrug it off, you start again. Score the most.
Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of loading screens in this game.
No, it's all very easy. I think, if there's a small, I wouldn't even call it...
Uh-oh. This looks bad. This looks really bad.
I wouldn't say problem, but one of the small things is that if you're in the middle of a challenge and you hit pause, I want to do this and just look at something, if I come back, it's going to start me at the beginning. So the point being is if you got to go to the bathroom and you're in the middle of a challenge, it's probably better just to hold it, finish the challenge, and come back. But, the load times, it's all very easy coming in and out, restarting challenges, going around the map. As I mentioned, the helicopters.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. Okay. Here we go, YOLO.
Oh!
All right.
Holy crap, you landed in the one tiny patch of snow that there was there.
Yeah, as you see, what goes gray, that's kind of the warning of bodily harm is being inflicted and you better watch it. So that's kind of a good warning of some of those tricks. Maybe you've landed a bad one and you're in the rocks. You may want to sort of watch the landing because you're about to sort of die. But all right, let's just finish that. Where'd it go? Okay, there's a checkpoint. So here's another thing too, is when you're on this flat ground like this, if you put the left analog stick forward, it'll sort of provide some momentum for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing with like the ski board, the skis and the snowboard games. Ooh, that can happen is you can sort of like, whoa, what am I going to do when I'm on flat ground? It does provide a little bit of momentum, so you're always sort of just going forward. It's not something you really got to worry about.
And I think one of the big things that Ubisoft was pointing out or pushing with this game was that you could create your own events.
Yes. So
how many are loaded in when you like from the developers themselves, and like what's the ratio there for like ones that have been created by other people either on the network or?
There's a lot that are created by Ubisoft. Here's what there. I was talking about momentum. That's one of the few times when you run into like an object, like a building. Sometimes you can't get caught up, and now I'm obviously unable to go back and finish the race. Again, no big deal. I can just start it over. In terms of other events and stuff, so. If we go out here and I pause it here, you can go over and the bottom you can see the different tabs. I go to the social profile. I can group with 3 other people, and that's pretty much when you have the console turned on. So if I were to turn it off, if I was grouped with some people, turn it off, come back in, those people would be gone. But in my experience, I don't see anybody now actually, but in my experience, there's always people to group with, and when you group with them, the challenges that they've done and the things they've uncovered, they pop up on your map. And you guys can actually get co-op points for just riding around and doing stuff in a proximity with each other. So in terms of like, the things that I've created, I could create a run here. So let's say let's go in and I'm just going to free run here. So I'm not going to do this one, but I'm just going to go around this particular challenge, the one I just did. I'm just going to go around and just do whatever, right? So I'm doing some tricks here. I'm just going through the environment. Let's go off and either eat it or let's land a trick.
Oh boy. Language.
Yes, language.
Okay. Okay, just let him fall. Just sit on this for a little bit.
Da. Ooh. All right. Let's grade ourselves. Okay, so if I go to Mountain View, if I zoom in here, the black line obviously is where I was in a free fall, but I can start at various points along here. See, it says, let's go up to start here. I could start my run, restart from there. I could start from here. If I hit the square for action list, it will show replay, which is I can go and start the replay from any points. And sometimes if I've done jumps and I've accrued some points for, let's say, like racing or again here freestyle only or the best jump, I can click into these points. I can share rides, and sort of make it about a checkpoint, make it like a checkpoint challenge that I've created. I can share it here, and this is limited, so it says I'd have to replace another shared ride I've done, but that's easy to do. So then it comes up as something I've created. See, my shared ride, and here it is for a meager 149 points. But I can do that, and so basically with that, you're able to create whatever you want. You're able to restart from some point that you've already done, and in that sense, there really is a lot to do.
So you just kind of do what you want to do, and then you say, hey, that was a really fun run that I just did, and you can just create a challenge to share with people that way.
Yes.
So you just be like, oh, I really enjoyed going down this. I didn't think that was going to happen. And it's just kind of like almost like a DVR. You can just like automatically like save it and share it with people.
Yes. And when you're grouped with other people, again, you get co-op points with them, and if they've shared stuff or they've done stuff, that should be, that should come up in your world. This KO, this is another sort of kind of like Skate. They had the Hall of Meat. I wouldn't say it's as interesting as Hall of Meat, but it's basically another way just to basically get points for eating it.
And is the requirement you have to play it, or are there other ways to create a run as well?
If you were to do a freestyle run from top of the mountain to bottom, then you can just make that and share that as, you can just zoom it around basically, even if you didn't. See, okay, real quickly, see the little icon on the right and it says group together? That's another person. So I hit square, and it sends them an email, and they're able an invite, and they can choose, whether they want to group with me. It's a pretty harmless thing, and in terms of interaction, when you hit X, your person will do pre-done prompts. See, I'm just hitting X, so there's not like proximity voice.
What happened?
Whoa. There's not like proximity voice chat, or you don't have to worry about, hot mic and just somebody spewing a bunch of, hate at you or anything like that. But when you go by them, you want to send them an invite, then you can, see what they're doing. And a lot of times too, it'll tell you, okay, they're doing this challenge. And if you hit the big, on PlayStation here, you just hit the big
the touchpad
on
probably
Xbox.
the select button.
Yeah, it's probably another button on the Xbox.
Menu button.
That will take you directly to the event that they're doing, and then you can both do it in real time. So you'll watch them, bombing a run, and you can just join them in doing it. One thing I want to point out here real quick is it says I'm in proximity to a drop zone. Drop zones are waypoints you can go to in the different around the map in the different mountains. Mm-hmm. When I come to a stop and I hit the L1 for the binoculars, I can come to this sort of shaded point there. It'll sync it up, and now I've gotten a drop zone. I get some explore points for that.
Okay, so that unlocks a new spot for you to kind of kick off your runs from.
And if you can buy these, basically here's some other ones. I've got to also train my binoculars on right there. And also, if you get enough credits, which aren't that hard to come by, I can buy helicopter lift tickets. So I have 13 of those to literally drop into anywhere I want, whether I have a waypoint for those or not. And then later on, I think when you're on level 25, you'll get unlimited helicopter lift tickets.
Gotcha. Well, that's handy. But by that time, will you have enough? Like, will you have unlocked all the drop points by that point anyway?
Probably not. I mean,
okay.
For each mountain, there's maybe like at least a dozen, depending on the size of the mountain, there's, maybe a dozen drop zones. And so I actually spent some time in just exploring and finding the drop zones, because I found it was kind of cool to be like, okay, there's one drop zone somewhere on this mountain I haven't found. Let's go find it. I just would go and explore and, see what I could find.
So let's cycle through the riders right here. I see if you hit L1 and R1, so all these riders are customizable.
They're customizable. I don't customize, let's say, like the rider themselves, so I don't like change their name or their voice, but it's kind of like, here are these templates, and then from here, I can go and spend, looks like I have, over 40,000 credits. I can spend these on these particular items. Some of these items you'll just get because if you win like a specific race or whatnot, you might win a certain kind of hat. And then other ones, they just unlock as you go. And, you can, like I said, you can change your apparel or do whatever at any time. There's even these gadgets, which I haven't explored a lot, but there are night races. So, like a flashlight would be handy in those. And then there's, different cameras, so you could get different kind of GoPros and stuff.
So we saw snowboarding. We saw wingsuit. Let's see some skiing.
All right, skiing. Now, when you go and let's say you're going down and you're on a snowboard, you certainly can switch to skis, or I could switch to a wingsuit here. I press R1 and it gives me the different options.
And there's also a parachute.
Yep. The caveat here would be that you have to be fully stopped. Now, you can be stopped in the middle of a mountain and just switch to skis if you want, but it's not like you can, let's say, parachute down from a helicopter and then
slap on some skis.
Yeah, you cannot do that.
This looks bad.
No,
this looks
fine.
This looks really bad. The trees. Okay, you handled it like a pro.
I think that I really like the skis. I do get turned around myself personally, like I'm doing it now. I have to go backwards.
I think that anytime I see somebody skiing backwards, I assume it's by mistake, even though I don't think anybody's ever done it by mistake.
You do the old bend over forward and make your way down the hill ass first. It's not that big of a deal. I just like the way the skis, I don't know, I think maybe they handle just slightly differently. I don't think it's anything anybody's going to have a problem with. You probably will develop a preference, but it's not like it's radically different than the snowboard. So it's just one of those things where you may just want to see some different tricks done, this particular run or something, but...
whoa. What was that? It just
seemed
like you were coming to a complete stop, and then all of a sudden you did a barrel roll.
All right, so let's see if Hans Ghost wants to go with us. No.
Nah, he doesn't.
Yeah,
he doesn't
can
like
do that.
us.
But let's say if we were going
This is
down
realistic.
freestyle.
Nobody wants to ski with me either.
Yeah, who is that guy? If he wants to come with me, and let's say he accepted the invite, we could just go down, do tricks, and we would get extra co-op points, which is kind of cool. So that's skis. Like I said, they're not radically different. If we want to go up, and I can just we can go to the air balloon here. We can. So we could come in.
Whoa.
It looks like, we can only wingsuit from here. The wingsuits, I actually thought, I wasn't sure how much I'd like them, but they're actually kind of cool.
Can you just nosedive into the ground?
Yes, you can. I've done it many times. When you, it's really cool because you get near miss points just for like flying around and let's say like buzzing the treetops. And one of the other things I was really surprised about was I didn't think I would care about the parachute or the paragliding, but it's actually really cool for exploring. Now, there's some challenges where you use the paraglide to, let's say, just like follow somebody or like you try to replicate their line, which again doesn't sound that interesting, but it is kind of challenging controlling the paragliding. And when you're just drifting around, going through the sights, so you got plus 80 points there for zooming those trees. When you get plus 80 some points for, I got to pull the chute, otherwise I'm going to eat it.
There's no way to land it without the chute?
Not. I think you could probably, if you were to maybe just
come in like a plane? Yeah,
you could really, if you were able to finesse it, you could probably come in on like a hilltop or something, but you're probably going to go splat right into the side of the mountain if you don't pull the parachute. But paragliding around, it actually is a little challenging, and it actually is very sort of calming and cool just to like drift around and see the scenery when you're in the paraglider.
So we're going up and down a mountain, like the mountains a whole lot in this. Are there any like set courses in that, like like a half pipe or anything like that?
Yep, there are half pipes. There are competitions based around those, as well as, of course, you can just use them if you find them. One of the things that I didn't know about, but I think was pretty cool, are called mountain stories, and these vary. Sometimes, they're just boy. They're just here. Speaking of which, here's a course we come across. The mountain stories sometimes are just like a follow me. Sometimes, using maybe a paraglider, maybe using the snowboard, and they have voiceover, and they're different for each mountain. And it gets a little hokey because they're talking, the mountain's talking to you or whatever. But those do highlight certain really cool runs or certain really cool areas of the mountain.
Does Nolan North voice the mountain?
If it's not Nolan North, maybe it's Troy Baker. I don't know, but
everything these days.
Yeah, those like I said, those get a little hokey, but they're actually kind of cool because again, they're sort of highlighting a certain run or a certain line.
Are there any things like long jump bonuses and stuff like that? Like,
I wouldn't say to my knowledge, they're not baked into the environment a la Tony Hawk, where you want to discover like a gap, so to speak.
Yeah.
But there are certain runs that are about, getting a certain distance off of jump, or they're like off of certain ravine, and they want you to score the longest jump.
Okay, so you can set like, all right, fly for 400 feet on this one.
I mean, those I think are more like the specific challenges, and I think if you were to do it as a run, you could create your own run that would be, broadcast out there. So yeah, there's that.
How much is the apple cider microtransaction in this one?
I don't know. I have not.
You've not gone to the lodge and enjoyed a nice cup of apple cider?
I've been too busy being extreme to do that. But there are, of course. There's a Ubisoft store which you can, use to purchase stuff. So,
I don't know. Apple cider is an integral part of any ski or snowboarding trip for me.
I would agree with that. You could even go a little stronger if that's your inclination as well.
Yeah, that has been known to happen from time to time. Oh, there's a nice little fence right there for you.
Yeah, this is the one thing I really want to find out before I'm done with my review, which I'm not done with yet, is whether you can slide on rails in this game. I'm not really sure about that, but
kind of like a grinding mechanic.
Yeah, I have a feeling there's not, but I'll have to see.
Yeah, find us some rails. Oh, this looks like a really inopportune position for him. Wow, that parachute filled up quick. What's happening? Oh, there's another guy.
Okay, I gotta turn around. So if I wanted to do that one, I would just, turn around and go through that one. I gotta follow that person, but looks like I'm off on my own.
Let's just cruise into the sunset.
Into the sunset, yeah.
Well, it's a good-looking game, especially for how big it is.
Yeah, there's some pop-up occasionally, but it all looks really gorgeous. They do a great job with the color palette, and you can change the time of day. A lot of times it drop zones to have whatever you want, and it's a gorgeous-looking game.
Finally hearing some music here. Wait, are you piping that in?
That ain't me.
All right, so there is some music. I think it's been mostly just like ambiance and silence this entire time, unless I'm losing my mind. Is it mostly like there's no music, or is it like we're gliding right now, so it adds in some music?
Honestly, I haven't been paying a lot of attention to that.
Whoa!
I haven't been paying a lot of attention to that, to be honest with you.
So, I mean, I remember like a lot of the extreme sports, they were pretty much known for their soundtracks. A lot of the extreme sport games.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't think it was just for this particular moment, but I think it's, when I've been listening and stuff like that, I think it's been fairly unobtrusive. So
I remember Tony Hawk's soundtrack almost as much as I remember the skate parks.
Yeah, that was big. That was big for licensed music at the time.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that's a good look at Steep. We saw all 4 of the extreme sports on offer. I am still holding out hope for snow tubing in the next game, or maybe as DLC. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Test Chamber, and we will see you next time.